Hey guys, good morning, everybody. Today is Monday, December 1st. It is 6:21 right now. We got market opening up in about 9 minutes. So I'll get a few moments for people to make their way in, and we'll get started shortly. See if there's any market structure here for me to mark up so far. Not a crazy amount, but I'll go over here and I'll just mark that up anyways. I mean, a lot of this stuff might get knocked out by the time market opens up. Hmm. Why do these charts look completely different? Let me refresh this. Why on 1 minute? Oh, why is it on 10 minutes? Weird. There we go. All right, let me mark up some of the structure here. It's kind of all I got for right now. All right, guys, good morning, everybody. Today is Monday, December 1st. It is 6:23 right now. We got market opening up in about 7 minutes. So hopefully everyone had a great long weekend. Ready to kick off this trading month. As you guys know, November was a pretty slow month for us, as you guys can see here from my statistics. I mean, a good year overall, but November was literally dead. You can see over here from like October 29th till December 1st. My profits didn't really go anywhere. I made some profit for the month, but 3 trading days out of the whole month, that's unheard of, right? I don't think I've ever had this little of many trades. Um, the good thing is I didn't have, many losses. I closed the month out in green, but overall there just wasn't any trades there. So I'm gonna try to take more trades this month. Of course, I'm not gonna force anything, but I'm gonna try to get in some limit orders instead of market orders, so that I can prevent getting caught in slippage. Um, Here are the entries for or you'll see right now. I'll put them up. Here are the entries for the day. So we got some pretty good amount of entries here, as you guys can see. It looks like the market or the algo is starting to adapt to the new market conditions as we shift over from the fall season into the winter season, which is slightly different. Volatility is a little lower. You can see the volatility right now, ATR is at 9. This is probably going to jump up closer to 20, maybe 30, maybe 40. Probably not 30, 40, but we'll see how far it jumps up once market opens up. We got 6 minutes till market open. Again, these are our entries for the day. We have a lot of entries. We have these are the entries in total: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 entries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 target entries for the day. So it's pretty big in comparison to what we had like earlier in November. If you guys look at the list here, uh there wasn't very many entries, earlier in the month. So like looking over here, like, we had a few with regard to target entries. So we'll see what happens here. I mean, obviously there's days where there's even less, like something like this. So comparing it to previous days of November, a lot of trades that are available. We just got to make sure price moves in that direction. So we'll see what happens, and we'll go from there. So let's see what's here so far. Morning, Surin. Morning, Constantine. Morning, Ryan. Yeah, happy holidays to you as well, brother. Let's see. Added 2 new funded accounts on Friday. 5 Apex PAs now. Nice. Yeah, Friday. I didn't realize Friday was gonna be a half day. Good to see that you locked in some profits on that day. It was a pretty bullish day. I saw his price kind of swung up. Overall, it was good for like the first half that it was open, and then it kind of flattened out as we got close to close. So nice work on catching those right there. It looks like if you took trades, I mean, just buys last Friday, right? Pushed up pretty nice. I mean, you could have taken a lot of MPSV2s, pivot scalps, market flow V2s, etc. There's a lot of entries here that you could have taken. With regard to the algo, I think there weren't very many entries because a lot of them were going against, wherever direction they were pushing to. But for the most part, if you just follow the trend and momentum and whatnot, it looks like you could have done pretty well. So we'll see. Masih, morning. All right, guys, we got market opening up in about 4 minutes. I marked up kind of like some of the structure here for the most part. The structure here, there's not very much, but there is structure right here, as you guys can see. Um, Other than that, looking over here at the overall trend, the 1 minute's currently bearish. You can see prices below the pivots. Trend meter's red. Pivots are angling down. Same with the 5 minute. Same with the 15. Same with the 30. So from the 1 minute, 5, 15, and 30, it has bearish trend right now. Prices below the pivots. Trend meter's green. Pivots are angling down. The 1 hour is currently neutral bullish. Price is above the pivots, but it's starting to come down a little bit. And the 4 hour here is more on the neutral side. So for the most part, everything here is bearish aside from the 1 hour and 4 hours. So lower time frames are bearish, higher time frames are more the neutral side. Looking over here on the main chart, as you guys can see, same thing. Price is kind of just going in this direction. Let me turn on my screener real quick. Where's my screener at? There we go. So looking at my market structure screener, the 1 minute's currently bearish, 5 minutes bearish, 15 minutes neutral, 30 minutes neutral, 1 hour's neutral, 4 hours bullish. So same thing that we looked at over here with regards to the trend. It's for the most part bearish. Other than that, it's neutral. So we'll see what happens here shortly, guys. 6:27 right now. Again, if you guys are just joining in, good morning, guys. 6:27. We got market opening up shortly in about 3 minutes. Here are our list of entries for the day. I'm gonna take this off. We're ready to kick off the session pretty soon. Looking at the news for today, we got news at 7 o'clock. It's ISM manufacturing PMI. This is NFP week, so we should see some volatility in the market. We do have Powell speaking at later this evening. This is actually kind of sort of a big month with regard to the Fed because they're going to be discussing if there's going to be a cut this month, right? A lot of people talked about there being a cut in December. I don't think there's going to be a cut, but we'll see what happens when we get closer to, I guess, the middle of the month because Fed week is usually the third week. This is NFP week. We have jobs data coming out this week. We haven't had jobs data come out for the past 2 months. And then we have CPI or inflation week the next week. And then after that, we have Fed week. So we'll see what happens as we get closer to Fed week. But Powell is going to be speaking later tonight. Hey, Glenn. Glenn's asking, I forgot, Sean, how do you compute the weighted average? The weighted average right here is going to be the overall plus whatever's higher buy or sell divided by 200, which is 200%. So basically, the overall plus the highest and then divided by the total, which is going to be 200. All right, guys, we got market opening up shortly in a few moments. Morning, Daniel. Yeah, Stern said might be C. Masih said 100-point dump pre-market. Not sure what's driving it. Yeah, let's see. I think it's people selling off from the weekend. This is why Mondays are typically a little riskier than other days. Mondays and Fridays, because on Mondays people are either taking profit or they're liquidating for the week, and then they're going to buy back in at a lower price. You usually see this on Mondays a lot of times. Price will just kind of push up very heavily or push down very heavily. So the entry here on open was aiming for a buy. There's no buy entry there, so obviously there was no trade to be taken. So there's no entry there for 629, it looks like. I mean, if you wanted to take it, you could have taken it, but there's no entry there. So I'll put a list of entries here again. So today's algo entries, 629, no entry. Next one's at 647, so we got some time here in between. Next entry at 647 is going to be a sell. This is going to be with momentum. So if you guys are looking to take that, change the settings over here, 647. So here's one thing too to look at, guys. So looking at the 629 entry, this is now with momentum, right? For the past couple months, it was against. You can see the algo here shifting a bit. going from with to against momentum. Here we have price kind of bouncing around as we speak. I'll mark up some structure here as price continues to, obviously move along. It's not necessary, but I'll mark it up anyways, just so that you guys have an idea of like where price is likely to kind of bounce off and when whatnot. It doesn't need to bounce off these levels, but it's good to have an idea of like where price is likely to, push away from. All right, so we'll see here if market establishes a range. Um, Next entry is going to be at 647. So we have like 17 minutes till then. So we'll see what goes on here. Let's take a look at the orb. I know some of you guys still like to trade the orb. The orb is established so far. The orb is still kind of hit or miss, guys. Like, I mean, I look at the orb, it works well sometimes, and a lot of times it doesn't. It just kind of depends on how you apply the orb. I've upgraded to Ultimate, so I do have Ultimate right now on TradingView, guys. I don't really see a big difference. I don't know if anybody else upgraded. So the Black Friday deal was, I mean, that's the best deal you'll get for TradingView, guys. So if you guys haven't upgraded or extended your TradingView, I mean, it's still available. But I did upgrade to the Ultimate. So I now have tick data. I was kind of using this over here, so I'll probably use this as a tick data to kind of see where price is moving. If you guys are not familiar with the tick data, basically the way the tick data works is every time 10 trades are taken, it'll establish a candle. So it's not based on time, it's based on how many trades are being taken at the time. So I'll kind of just flip back between this chart to kind of see how many trades are being taken. You can see there's a lot of trades being filled right now, both ways. It's not going to line up directly with like what we're seeing here. This is currently bullish. So like looking at this, if you see the tick data kind of push up a bit, it'll show that there's a lot of trades being executed for buys. It's slightly different if you guys are not familiar with how the tick data works. Well, I mean, it's not slight, it's very different actually. The tick data just shows how many trades are being executed. This is kind of where you can see how many people are buying and how many people are selling. It's easier to see sentiment this way, um, to see how price kind of push. I think 100 ticks might be better. No, it's just a little choppy when you see the 100 ticks here, but it might be better actually because the 10 ticks are just too tight. So I'm going to use this as a confluence to kind of see where price is pushing. Like you can see here on the main chart, price is having trouble getting anywhere. It's trying to push up, and then you look at the tick data and you're like, okay, if these candles start to close like, consecutively green, this will show that the buyers are in control for the most part. Just to give you an idea of like, the order flow and whatnot. It's not necessary, but it does help a little bit to kind of see, where the orders are going or where they're coming from. So if you see like one candle here, this is 100 orders going in, not 100 contracts, but 100 separate orders. So every time an order gets fired, you can see how this kind of moves up a little bit, right? See how it's trying to push to the upside? If this here aligns with like what we're looking at here, where price is pushing to the upside as well, the odds are price is going to keep pushing that direction. But you can see our price is establishing a range. It's trying to balance between this area right here for the most part. Again, the next entry is at 647, so we got some time here until then. Uh, Still a choppy market right here. So we talked about this last week and over the past couple of weeks. I think, the safest thing to do is pretty much to avoid like the first 10 minutes of market open. Basically 639 or 630 until 639 is like an area to avoid because you get this choppiness right here. And then eventually, you can start kind of moving in and taking other entries. Um, so let me just mark up some structure here. You guys can see it's starting to establish a middle, basically a midpoint. So we kind of have the midpoint here. This is like the wide structure, basically the wide range, and then you have the mid structure in the middle right here. Again, structure is not super necessary because we're trading based off momentum, so it's not going to be a big deal. But it's just good to have an idea of like where price is kind of pushing from and pushing to. Here's the main chart. As you guys can see, it's pretty messy overall. Market the structure pre-market, and you can see prices pushing back up higher. So it's currently kind of sitting within this area. This is like the meat of the market, basically. This is like where the actual range is happening. Everything below is kind of like noise, right? So price was kind of pushing down pre-market, and then it shot right back up into the mid-range right here. So we'll kind of see where this ends up going. Again, I mean, for the most part, we don't really care what's happening with regard to market structure because we're just basing our entries off the algo. It's good to have an idea of like what's actually going on, but for the most part, it doesn't really matter because the algo here is going to identify momentum swings or momentum pushes in that sense. So we got price pushing up right now. Um, we got a new high here starting to establish in a sense. I don't know if this will hold. This looks like it might be a break and retest of this area, or it might be a break and fake out, right? So we have price coming back up for a break and retest, pushing back into the range, or we might get price to fake out and come back right back below and retest lower. Pretty heavy volatility here with regard to choppiness. The ATR is actually not that high. It's at 25. So the ATR is good. We like this ATR. We want it to stay below 30, at least below 40 for sure. But below 20, but below 30 is good because you can take a trade here, and if it pulls back, you're fine, right? For the most part. So the first entry I'm really going to look for is going to be here at 648. So what I'm going to anticipate what's going to happen here because so looking at this right here, this is going to be with momentum right at 648. I'm going to be looking for price to flip the other way. So what I like to see here is I would like price to actually reach this resistance, turn around, and then I take my trade in this direction, right? As we get closer to that 648. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. I'm looking for price to come up, reject off this point, and then around 648, 647, I'm looking for a turnaround. Doesn't have to happen right here. I mean, price can push up higher as we get closer and closer to 647, 648. So in about 10 minutes, I would like to see price get overextended and then turn the other way. So I'm just kind of anticipating the turnaround to happen as we get closer to our entry points. Doesn't have to happen yet, but as we get closer to 647, 648, that's what I'll be looking for. Looking at the market structure now, the market structure has done a complete 180, right? So earlier it was all bearish, now it's like bullish neutral. So the 1 minute's bullish, you can see prices above the pivots, trend meters green, pivots are angling up. Same with the 5 minute, 15-minute shifting, 30-minute shifting. 1 hour has been bullish, and the 4 hour has been bullish as well. So this is what I was talking about earlier when Masij was talking about the drop to the downside. So, this was all manipulation. The price bought the dip and it shot right back up. It just corrected right back to where it was supposed to be. That's why I don't really trust the pre-market moves a lot because they usually just it's a temporary move to one direction or the other, and then market opens up the other way. But you guys can see the huge wicks over here on these previous candles. So we got nothing here so far. Again, we're going to be waiting for price to kind of move along. Let's kind of extend this out a little further. Yeah, Masisha, the main thing is you can pull more data from the ultimate. Yeah, that was my main goal. So I mean, looking at the algo. So when I run the algo now on here, and you guys probably wouldn't be able to see this because unless you guys have ultimate, when I run the algo on here, the it pulls up way more data, like you mentioned, Siege. So like typically it would show like very minimal amount of trades, like maybe 20 or 15 trades. Now it shows up to 30. So it's pretty cool to use the screener. I mean, the screener is not super helpful in a sense because I still like going one by one, but this is good to just give you an idea of like what's there and what's available. Right. So like for me here, specifically for the algo, I like putting just with momentum because I don't really like going against. So I put the entries here so I can kind of align it with my entries that are coming up. So the top entry here is going to be like at 732, 752, 753, around that point, with that being the case right there. But we do have those marked up. Do I? It's not a target entry. It's close to it though. 632 is a 63.89% probability. And 52 isn't even on here. Let me see what 52. I mean, they're not that high, but kind of give me an idea of like what to look for with momentum. Yeah, it's not high enough. So the thing with this here, with using the thing with using the screener is that it gives the overall. So it doesn't give the weighted, it gives the overall. Yeah, Masih said even with Ultimate, the screener can only pull loaded chart data, not as far back as we need. Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't help like with regard to deeper tests of like the algo. It more so I just use it to see what's like coming up, like just for the day. So it's just lining up these times with what I have listed over here already. And if they're listed with it, then I'm like, okay, mate, this might be a good entry for the most part. But it's not a all-inclusive list to really follow. All right, let's take a look at so looking over here at the orb entry, guys. The orb entry actually didn't fill for today if you guys are looking to take the orb. Yeah, the orb didn't fill yet. If it comes back down and fills, that means pushing into the previous orb range from Friday right here. Masij said, have the regulators given you any news? So unfortunately, guys, so for a lot of you guys who are waiting for the hedge fund to reopen onboarding, there's one, they sent me back my disclosure document, and unfortunately, I need to make some small revisions. I have to update some dates and just make some edits with regard to the document. So the timeline resets again another 2 weeks. I'm hoping they get back to me sooner. I mean, I like for them to get back to me sooner, but it's not always going to work out that way. Um, so we'll see it. But they did get back to me, and they need me to make some revisions. And I'm hoping it gets back sooner than 2 weeks. Their timeline is just they respond like exactly on the dot. I'm hoping this time because I've made all the adjustments that they requested, they'll get back to me sooner. But yeah, the timeline basically resets for another two weeks. I have to message everybody to on the wait list to let them know. So thanks for reminding me, Masij. I'm gonna do that today, actually. Yeah, Masij said I doubt it. You should expect 2 weeks. Yeah, for one, it's the holidays, and for two, it's whenever you guys deal with a government organization, they usually take their time with things. Um, yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, if there was a way I could expedite it, I'm willing to pay them to to expedite me to the front of the list, but well, yeah, I'm gonna expect 2 weeks for the most part. So again, if you guys are here and you guys are waiting for the hedge fund to reopen, we're not onboarding right now, and we're just not onboarding because I'm trying to get everyone on StoneX. So what I realized and what I'm thinking about doing with StoneX is I'm gonna be executing basically iceberg orders so that we don't really show our hand when we were entering these positions. Because what happened before is I would always enter with market, just regular orders, and we would flood the market with like 100 to 200 contracts, so like people could kind of see what we were pushing. Um, I'm gonna have to put in an iceberg order. I've been doing a lot of research on different hedge funds, how they place orders if they're usually entering at market. A lot of them enter at iceberg or with limit orders, and that's basically what I'm going to be doing because I don't want to show people that I'm taking these huge positions. It's a different type of game when you're trading as an institution versus retail. It's just you're not supposed to show your hand, and like for me, I was always showing what I was getting into, and it's a pro and a con because if you show where you're going, people will try to fade you if they have a bigger size, or the opposite. Hey Brock, morning. Hey Sam, morning. Visual said YM forming a massive head and shoulder pattern on the 15 minute. Okay, good to know. Thanks, Visual. Good to see there. Have you been taking the orb entry visual? I know you're like the main person that was always mentioning it. I'm just curious like how you're doing with the orb because a lot of people who were taking the orb before, they're not really taking the orb anymore. I mean, if you got in right here, so if you got in with the close, I know you like to use the tick data. That's what kind of led me towards looking at the tick data. Like if you got it on the close, it actually would have played through. But I've seen a lot of people struggle with the orb to be consistent for the most part because the market's been so choppy. All right, guys, first entry right here at 647. It's going to be a sell entry. If you guys are looking to take it, you need to have a sell momentum close right here. So the sell momentum has to close right here, guys, in order for there to be an entry right here at 647. The next target entry or actual target entry is going to be here at 648. So if there's no sell momentum here, there's no entry for 647. It's with momentum, weighted average of 63%, overall 55, buy percentage is 33, sell percentage is 72. It won 4 out of the 4 previous entries for a sell. So you're gonna be looking for a sell here. But in order for you to have that, you need to have a sell momentum close here because it's with momentum, right? Okay, so no sell momentum right there, guys, unfortunately. So no entry right here for 647. The next one's going to be right after 648. But again, you need a sell momentum there in order for you to have these entries because these are with momentum, right? Yeah, Masih said, well, the deep backtest entries will be at limit, not market. All of us should be transferring to limits within the next few months. Yeah, I agree with you too, Masih. It's so the way that I see it is if we have the data that entries work specifically at a specific price, it should always be at limit because you want to get in at exact price, right? I mean, that's the key thing. Because if you don't get in at exact price, you're always going to have some sort of slippage with regard to entry or with regard to exit. So I agree with you 100%. Siege will, we should be shifting over to limit orders only so that we don't, because if you enter market, there's always going to be slippage. There's no getting around it. There's going to be slippage regardless. So limit orders are very, very, very important. All right, guys, no entry here at 648. We still don't have a sell signal up. So I'm just hoping this is not a repeat of last month. If you guys remember last month, there was like so many no entries for the entire day. It was horrible. I'm gonna mark up some structure right here. All right, so we had some consolidation right here, and then price is now pushing up further. The next entry is going to be at 50. I mean, there was an entry there at 647, but obviously no entry that we've taken. The next one's going to be at 655. A lot of no entries here so far. Let's see, Brock said I'd take the 648 if they were on the other direction. So let's see, 648. Yeah, throw for buys, right? I mean, the buy percentages here were pretty low, so that's why obviously they didn't make the list. But yeah, I mean, you would have seen it continue to the upside. Ideally, I like to trade in the direction of the trend as well. Sometimes the algo is not going to be in the direction of the trend, but yeah, I tried to, or I'd like to obviously go in that direction if it was available. So we have price over here again. It's retesting the support. So we have this back and forth range. Price now is above the support level, so it's going to do one of two things: either break and retest, continue up higher, or it's going to fake out and pull back into the range here. Next entry is at 655. Again, it's going to come up right here. This is going to be a buy entry. So 655 is going to be with momentum. Has a 68.89 probability of it weighted. 60% overall, 77.78% for buys, 45.45% for sells. It won 3 out of the previous 4 entries, and the direction is a buy. So with that being the case right here, we're going to be looking for a possible push to the upside further. The only problem that I'm kind of concerned with here, and I shouldn't be concerned with it, is the overextension, right? It's about 171 points. Again, I have to take out all the outside factors. I need to just, if the trade's there, I got to take it. I can't use my discretion with these types of entries. So the only discretion that I'll probably really use when I'm looking at these entries here is I'm going to be looking for if the candles are extremely large, right? So if you have like a 60-point candle, then I'm probably not going to take it because it's going to be due for retracement. I mean, that's just like typical, right? There's always going to be some retracement if the candle's huge. Um, the thing that I do like here is that the ATR is not super high. So that's one of the good things here that I'm looking at. So again, right here, guys, at 6:55, the uh the entry is going to be with momentum for a buy. So I'm going to look at that head and shoulders that Visual was mentioning on the 15. So, okay, I think it's been invalidated, that head and shoulders you mentioned at this point now, Visual, because it's so far above, right? So I could see what you were looking at. There was a shoulder, a huge head right here, another shoulder, but there's no shoulder, of course. It's way too high up. So that head and shoulder pattern is for the most part invalidated now. We got price pushing up. I mean, it's pushing up pretty high. Got a couple imbalances here as price continues to push up higher. So price is retesting the sessions right here. To break and retest off the sessions as it continues to push up. So again, like I mentioned, the overextension is kind of what's throwing me off the most. Thing is, there's no structure up here. We're getting close. Is this the all-time high? No, it's not. It's not the all-time high, but it's the current high from last week. So I was trying to see if there was market structure here to look at, but there really isn't. Price is broken, blasted right through the value high right there. So this is what I'm worried about. Look at this huge, huge candle, right? This is what I was talking about earlier. Like when you have a huge, huge candle like this, it kind of worries me because it's due for retracement, right? It's like due to kind of slow down a little bit. This could be a breakout though, because you see over here, price was consolidating back and forth between this middle area. So it's a breakout candle, of course. It's a breakout candle, but see the thing with this candle is going to close at 7:30, so that's what I'm more so worried about. Um, because the more and more I look at it, I'm like, okay, this thing is probably due for retracement soon, right? Yeah, Masih said you have to break free from market analysis once we have the data. You just need to take it. We can't be consistent if we don't take the entries. Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Masih. I got to take my discretion out of it fully. All right, so we got the entry coming up here shortly, guys, in about a few moments. We got a minute until then. So we got a minute till that 6:55 candle right there. So you'll have to get in with a limit order, of course. We talked about this. All right, so it looks like the entry here could be good. So I'm gonna put a limit order right here.
Order submitted. Order submitted.
Let's see, 754. So we got like 30 seconds until the candle closes. I'll be looking to get in with a limit order so we get closer to that point. We got 20 seconds left. Got 15,
Order submitted.
10 seconds, See if I drop it in over here. So I don't know if this is gonna get filled. Pushed up with like no pullback. Yeah, I might have to cancel this. It's looking good so far, but the limit order did not get filled right there. Yeah, unfortunately. So good trade, but it looks like my order did not get filled, of course, which is okay. I'm gonna cancel it. Okay, so entry right there hit. I mean, that was the good thing is the algo worked. It's just I couldn't get the fill right there. So there goes the entry. Entry would have happened right there. Would have filled, or it would have hit. Unfortunately, no fill, but that was a win. So a win plus 2R. So nice first win right there for the algo this week. 6:55 a.m.
Order canceled.
Cancel that order. There's another entry right here at 6:56. Should have dragged it up higher. I think it's too late for me to get into this point here. Yeah, it's a little too late. 6:56 is right after it. Yeah, so this is the problem when it's a back-to-back entry like this. I don't have time to set the order right away. I should have been paying attention to what was happening next because I could have just dragged my order up higher, but I'm not going to get into it late because at this point it's obviously too late. I mean, this one's probably going to hit too. Of course, we like it to hit. Nice. Jesus said caught a little early, hit TP. Nice work, Jesus. I think what I have to do is I might have to get in the trade a little earlier. Like maybe a second, just drop it in to get filled. Otherwise, otherwise it's gonna be a problem. We have news coming up right here at 7 o'clock, so I think this would be a good trade to skip actually. I just remembered we had high impact news event right here at 7 o'clock. So we had a question over here from Glenn. He was actually asking, should we consider news as a discretion? Yeah, I think news is going to have to be avoided. So we're getting closer and closer to news. The first one was good at 6:55, but now we're getting closer to at 6:56. So this is actually one that I would have avoided. I think 5 minutes is a good threshold to avoid news because you start to get the pre-news movement, right? What might happen here is price will probably just stay flat and then it'll probably push. Let's see. Coney said the heavy slippage using Ninja is mostly on stop market entry, right? Um, Not exactly. Well, I mean, I guess like it's not based on stock market because market entries are market entries in general, right? If you're doing a stop market entry, it's gonna be market if touched, right? So it's the same thing as a market entry. So you're right to an extent. Yes, it's due to market entry. It's not necessarily due to anything else really. It's just market entry because what happens is like when I'm putting in like 100 to 200 contracts, like say for example, we get in at this price right here, right? But what happens is that when I put that much volume in the market, it pushes price up. So like some people get in like a little later up here or even later up here, right? Or later at some other point. So let's see. Iceberg mentioned is Iceberg you mentioned is limit or entry that only displays partial size on the DOM. Yes, so that is correct. Iceberg order is it only shows like so for example, if I'm entering with 100 contracts, it's only going to show like bits of 10 contracts. So I'll show like 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 at different times versus like a big 100 point volume on the DOM. So yeah, you're for the most part right with what you were mentioning, Coney. The issue we run into when getting slippage is because of market orders. And then market orders, there's different types of market orders, right? Market if touched, market if whatever criteria is met, but just market orders in general, that's what causes the slippage because we kind of get in at different prices. If we get in for a limit order like we tried to right here, then everybody gets in at that exact price, or whoever gets filled at least, right? Unfortunately, today none of us got filled because it never pulled back for retracement. Um, yeah, so for me, that's the downside. It's the downside is you won't get filled sometimes. The good thing is that you'll get in at exact price. Coney said if iceberg is only for entries, most of your slippage with stop market, iceberg isn't helpful for slippage. Um, okay, I kind of got lost with you right there, Coney, because the thing is with the iceberg just means that it's not gonna show all the orders on the DOM or the whatever the depth of market. It doesn't really matter with the fills because the fills are gonna be at limits. So we're giving it an exact price, right? If I get in for a limit right here at 47,671, I'm guaranteeing we're not guaranteeing, but you can guarantee entry. I'm only getting in at that price, right? It's like fill or kill type order. That's what an iceberg order is. Um, this doesn't have any effect on the slippage. The reason we're doing iceberg is so people don't know what we're doing. The slippage is being fixed with limit orders because we're getting in at exact price, if that makes sense. So, all right, we have another entry here at 702, guys. It is with momentum. There's no sell momentum here, so there's no entry at that point. 655 was a loss, unfortunately. We didn't get into that. There was news, so I'll just put incoming news here. 702, this is going to be no entry, of course. 704, this is going to be against momentum. So I'm going to step away for 1 second, guys. I'm going to grab some water, and then I will be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. Yeah, thanks, guys, for the fix right there. I made some edits on that. 704, there was no... Actually, there was an entry right here at 704. Still running. I don't think this one hit. No, that was a good thing I ran to get water because I don't think there would have been a loss. So we're currently at 0 R for the day. Again, like we talked about with the news guys, I wouldn't trade 5 minutes before or after news. Let me check the news real quick to see what was happening. I mean, I probably would have skipped that entry anyways. But let's see what the news was at 7 o'clock. So it was negative. Obviously, price reacted to the news, right? It went down. That's why we have these big red candles right here. So the news happened right here at 7 o'clock. So basically, price was consolidating, and then right at 7 o'clock, price started to come down very heavily, right? So, we just talked about this earlier with regard to news, we still would have to, news would kind of have to be factored because that'd be an outlier with regard to the data. Do you agree with that, Masish? You probably will too, because the thing is the algo identifies data, but it doesn't identify, outliers like news events. So like for me specifically, I think it'd be better to avoid news maybe 5 to 10 minutes before and after to see how market reacts to it. So again, like I said earlier, guys, the news over here was at 7 o'clock. It was high impact. It was negative. Of course, price here reacted to it, right? We don't know how price is going to react to news. This is why I say it's an outlier because you can't predict how market's going to react. Even if news was positive, price could still come down, or even news this year was negative, price could have easily went up. So for me personally, I think it's an outlier that we can't really factor into our algo analysis. Let's see. Masisha, the algo will take in news. I'm testing, not trading with 1, 2, 4, 5, 15 minutes of news. Okay, no, that's perfect. Yeah, that's good to know. The problem is like there's so many news events that like where they're usually at whole numbers though, right? Like at 7 o'clock, 6:45, they're gonna be around the same time. So we might be able to identify those types of things, but for the most part, you can't really predict where news is gonna push. But that's good. Well, as long as we have the data and we can factor that in, I think that'd be great. Let's see. Coney said, "You're right. I confused hiding size with iceberg and fixing slippage. They're two separate issues." Yeah, exactly, Coney. So the reason why I would put in iceberg orders is so that we're not showing our hand, right? That's what I was talking about earlier. Because the thing is, like every time we put in a market order into the market, it shows that like 100 orders are coming in. The problem with that is that people will try to piggyback the ride, right? If they see 100 contracts entering the market then a bunch of other people, not just other people, other institutions, they'll try to piggyback the ride, or they might try to fade it. So they might try to get into it and then arbitrage maybe a few points and then turn the other way as they liquidate. So that's where it becomes a problem when you're showing your hand because a lot of these other algos that hedge funds use, they're just tracking the depth of market, right? There's a ton of algos out there that are just tracking the depth of market to see how many orders are coming in. If there's any outlier form of orders, they'll try to ride that like they call it lightning speed. Like they try to get in real quick and get out very quickly within just a few points, because I'm going for 40 points. So if I'm putting in a bunch of volume and then they're just trying to lock in maybe 5 or 10 points, like for example, what happened right here, right? I think this could have been a good example because price pushed up maybe 20 points. They could have pulled out from there, right? Half of what I was aiming for. I was aiming for 40. They could have pulled out for 20 and then liquidated and then just screwed up the entire position, which happens a lot. That's why a lot of times, and this is what I started to realize. I talked to a lot of different hedge fund managers over the past couple weeks. They mentioned that you don't want to seem like an institution when you're putting orders in the market. You don't want to seem like an institution. You want to seem like a retail trader because when you start to show your hand as an institution making moves, um, it's more of a when initially we thought it was a good thing. So we're like, oh, people will piggyback our ride. The thing is, it's not a good thing because other algos out there will trade against you especially if they have more size. Like if I'm putting in 100 contracts, they may come in with another 300 or 400 contracts to ride my wave up a little bit where I started it, and then they'll just turn it against me once they liquidate. So it's it's tricky, it's very tricky in a sense. Yeah, but that's kind of what I've taken away from a lot of different hedge fund managers that I've talked to. Everyone said to never show your hand. And the thing is, I'm showing my hand every day on here for the most part because I show my trades. Um, yeah, Masih said the institutions work with each other. They manipulate down so others can buy low. We are a small fish. We need to follow the whales. Momentum is not caused by retail. We're showing too much of our hand right now. You're getting Too big to be showing all of this free on YouTube. Yeah, no, I agree with you too, Masish. So eventually I'm probably gonna take this list off of the YouTube stream, guys, for the main reason that Masish mentioned, because we're literally showing what we're waiting for, right? And we're not supposed to be showing what we're waiting for. I think this is what kind of throws off the algo a little bit because the data shows that it moves in a certain direction, but because I'm showing this here, um, other people are waiting for this as well. And it's not always going to be a good thing that people are waiting for what we're waiting for. So I'm still going to be here on YouTube, but I'll probably not show this. If you guys are on the Discord, obviously the lists are posted on the Discord so you guys can see where it's at. Um, I just probably won't post it here publicly where people can see exactly where the entries are coming and going from. So next entry right now is going to be at 7:05, obviously. I think this was let's see, 7:05 was against momentum for a buy. I think that was also a loss. It wasn't a target entry though. It was just it's just one of those listed. Got 20 points, then it came right back down. So let's put this in there. Next one is going to be 7:16. Yeah, certainly correct. I was thinking this weekend as well. Masisha, there might be a dude on in YouTube just trading 200 contracts in the opposite direction. You never know. Yeah, no, that's the thing. This is why like there's not really any. If you guys try to do some research on like on actual hedge fund traders, nobody really trades publicly, right? A lot of the hedge fund traders they trade in secret because they don't want to reveal their edge and they don't want to reveal their hand, of course, with what entries they're taking and whatnot. Um, that's like another reason why the regulators don't want me. They kind of want me to shut down K2 trades in a sense because they don't want me to be public with all the stuff that I'm doing. Um, it's no secret. I mean, you guys can research quants, but you'll see that there's no quants that actually trade live like I am because they don't like to share that stuff. So just something to keep in mind. Yeah, exactly. Sam said just hide it, Sean, and solve your dilemma if people are fading you easy. Yeah, literally. That's all I gotta do. I take this off. So I think we'll probably start with today, guys. I think we'll just take this off. You guys can still follow me. I'll still be trading live, but I'll probably just take this off and then I'll keep looking to see what else is happening on here. So I'll put the list, the trades here, of course. But if you guys want to see the list of trades, just go on the Discord. I mean, that's the easy fix is to just take it down, right? So people have no anticipation of like what's going to happen next. I think it's better that way, right? It's more secretive in a sense. Like you just see the entry come up and you'll know what's going to be next. Yeah, CJ said I agree with the hedge fund managers. We have other people trying to fade us before, not forget the bigger institutions try to take. Yeah, Cody, K2 trades before, right? They made me change my name. So if you guys are new to the group, if you guys remembered like back in like 20, what was it 2022 or something like that, a bigger hedge fund tried to take my name, which was K2 trades before. It was a huge lawsuit that went on for years. And I wasted a lot of money fighting the lawsuit. And obviously I lost because they just had more money to put into the case. That's why I changed the name. So initially we were K2 trades. We're now Cody Kai trades because a big hedge fund tried to take my basically my name. They wanted to monopolize the K2 name. Um, and that's kind of how I got on the radar with like a lot of these funds with regard to our trend following strategies. So yeah, I mean, it's not our first time running into these types of issues. All right, so 716 is the next entry, guys. I'm gonna keep my chart open over here so I can follow it. This is gonna be against momentum. This has a 71% weighted average, 65% overall, 54% for buys, 77% for sells. So this entry over here at 716 is gonna be for a sell. This here is not gonna be, it's gonna be a no entry because it's against momentum. It is against momentum and there is no buy signal here. So in order for us to have that entry, we need to have a buy signal set up right here. There's another one following it at 717. It's going to be the same. It's going to be the opposite direction actually. Hmm. The 717 one might be a good one though. I'm looking at it right here because what we might get here is probably a bounce off the support level and possibly a W pattern, right? So we'll see. There's no entry at 716. There's one at 717. Again, it's going to be a 67% weighted average, 65% probability for a buy, 70%, or sorry, 65% overall, 70 for buys, and 60% for sells. So the entry coming up over here is going to be set up for the other direction. Yeah, exactly. CJ said, yeah, the company that sued me before, they wanted more than just the name. They wanted the indicators and the website and the members. Yeah, basically what they wanted to do is they wanted to close down K2 trades. They wanted to just keep the tools and indicators to themselves, and they wanted to close down K2 trades for the public. Which obviously I wasn't going to let that happen, so just change the name instead. All right, so we have something coming up over here at 717. So this candle is about to close in about 40 seconds. A lot of volume on this candle though right here. Let's see. I don't really want to step in front of momentum here. Yeah, a little too late on that one. I was trying to place my limit order right there. It looks like I was a little too late. I don't know if anybody else tried to get into this 717 right here. I mean, personally, I don't like going against momentum, so I probably would have, for the most part, avoided this one, but it moved a little too fast to get on entry. Technically, I could get in right now if I wanted to. I'm gonna sit out of it. There's one more left that's with momentum. So that one's running right now. Yeah, Sam said if a big hedge fund fading you, these signals are not good for the YouTube free community. This way, we YouTuber won't face losses too. I don't think with a 1 minute delay we can follow anything. But yeah, we do see time of your entries, which hedge funds can go against. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Sam. It's not beneficial for everyone, right? In a sense, not just me, but for everyone in general. Because if we're getting faded either way, you're gonna get it's not gonna be helpful for anybody who's trying to follow. So we'll kind of go as we'll just analyze this market as we see it, and then we'll kind of jump into these positions as we have listed. We'll figure out ways around it, guys. We always do. Yeah, I know. See, I just saw your message. Jarrell said that previous candle was crazy too. Yeah, I didn't like the volume on this candle right here, right? The volume was really strong. And for me personally, I don't like going against momentum. So right here, we're gonna count that right there, of course. We want to be transparent with our entries, not just for like you guys, but I want to be transparent with myself so that I can kind of see what's working and what's not. So we have two just listed entries. They're not target entries. The next one's pretty decent. It's at 63%. So I'm not going to give the time stamp of like the actual entry, but if you guys are following the list here, it is It is at 63% weighted, 50% overall, 27% for buys, 77% for sells. It won two out of the previous four entries, and it's a target sell. Or not a target sell, but it's the direction is for a sell. It was close to it at 63%, 63.89. So it's about a little over a point away from reaching the threshold of 65. So if you guys are looking to get into that one over there, of course, we'll be looking for it. But you guys can see over here, price is just stuck in this range, right? Not really stuck in range, but it's ranging. And it's ranging really hard. Like we talked about before, guys, Mondays are usually not the best days to trade for, I mean, right here, obvious reasons. A lot of choppiness, a lot of uncertainty. Just usually, if you guys ever trade on Mondays, you'll see there's usually a big range like this. It's usually pretty big back and forth. How are your trades doing, Sam? I haven't heard you call out any of your sweeps or anything like that. It's really hard to catch a sweeps here, of course. I mean, if you were trying to catch them on the buy side right here, I mean, you're going for like 15 points, so you're actually you could snag a couple of sweeps here and there. All right, so we'll see what happens here next. Yeah, Jonathan said it's going back to open. That's what it seems like, right? Open candle is right here at 6:30. It's basically back to open. Price pushed away, and it's now balancing back to the opening price. This is what I talked about earlier. Let's go look at this is exactly what I was worried about, right? We talked about this like around 6:30. I said this candle is huge, and I said it was going to retrace back, right? I didn't think it was going to retrace back this hard, but yeah, it did exactly what we were concerned about, right? Because we were thinking, okay, if we're going to chase these buys, we want to be careful because price is going to retrace back at some point. And it did a full on, basically, it just rebalanced. So we had this huge, huge green candle around like 6:37. And we were thinking, okay, we're getting close to 7 o'clock. This candle is going to close. This next candle is going to retrace back. And then it ended up pulling back all the way back to where it was initially. So if you guys are not familiar with market profile, price pretty much pulled back to the balance right here. If you guys are not familiar with like what these boxes are, this green box is going to show you where price is balanced, basically the point of control. So uh, the value highs where price is overextended, value lows where price is overextended. The green box is where price is likely be balanced, and this is based off volume. So price is now balanced. This is a good thing. We like when price is balanced because now that we have this, price can kind of push another way, right? Now that price is down here where it's at, it's either going to swing back up or it's going to swing down lower in a sense. Yeah, Masih said we should take against momentum out. It's not profitable. There's no point of having it, to be honest. Yeah, I agree with you too, Masih. I mean, I never liked taking against momentum to begin with. So I agree. I think maybe I'll stop really having them on list. It really is kind of pointless because we don't like trading against momentum, right? The whole point is that we're trading with momentum. We're not trying to trade reversals. So yeah, I agree with you, Nasish. I think it makes more sense to just take it off for the most part. You know what I have to do here? I'm gonna go over here real quick. I'm gonna go to because I think I posted the link to the spreadsheet on here. The link for the spreadsheet shouldn't be posted to the public. Okay, I'm just going over here real quick. Because the spreadsheet's going to have the actual trades. Okay, I deleted the spreadsheet on the public pages. Yeah, so the reason I posted the spreadsheet was just so that people can kind of see like how everything's running, but it shouldn't be posted to the public. I take it off. Yeah, okay. I just thought about that. I was like, I'm posting the spreadsheet to the public page and it shouldn't be shared with the public. It should be shared in the algo page only. Okay, I mean, that's fine. We're good. Yeah, so if you guys didn't see the chat, basically Masij mentioned that we should probably just take off the or not take off, but just in general, just not follow the against momentum. And I agree with that. I mean, I've been thinking of that for a long time because the thing is we're always trying to trade with like the whole point of the strategy is to trade with momentum. And the against momentum trades, they just don't make sense majority of the time, right? Because you're basically fading your trade. What you want to use the against momentum, I think I'm still going to list it, Masij, but I'm not going to take them, of course. Like they're not going to be part of the target entries. I think the reason to have it still listed on the list is that we can start to see that's where the reversals happen, right? They're good to use as a confluence to see, okay, price is going to reverse at this point. Like say, for example, you have an against and then it's followed with a with. So for example, if we have an against momentum here and then we have a with
Connection lost.
um, against right here and then a with momentum somewhere around here, we could get into that trade, right? Or something like this where price pushes up against momentum here and then we have a with that's up here, then we can jump into this one, but not the against. I think that's probably going to be the because I don't like taking the against at all. I think taking the trades against, I always feel nervous when I take those trades, right? Like the 704 over here. Like this was a loss. This was against momentum. It could have and should have been skipped. Same with these over here, right? Same with the 717. These over here, both all of these basically, yeah, these are all against. So these could have been easily avoided and we'd still be in positive R for the day. So yeah, I agree with you, Masish. There's gonna be some days where there are wins, but a lot of times it just doesn't really help to take those. Yeah, I'm gonna probably have to update the link for that, Masish. I'm gonna probably do that right after. CJ said, "Hey Sean, caught the 640 and 650 on the 10 minute for 100 points each. Nice." So CJ over here was applying the algo on the 10-minute time frame at 640 and 650 for 100 points. Nice. So you're running the algo on the 10-minute, CJ? That's what it sounds like. So yeah, once we have the data, Missy, that's something we could probably run too. I think we could probably run things on different time frames, not just the 1 minute, but we can look on the 5 and the 10, or even the 3 minute. I think the 3 minute also a good time frame that people don't really look at. Yeah, once we have the data. So the thing with the 1 minute, I think this goes back to what you were kind of inferring to prior, Message, like how we can't really pinpoint the exact time for when momentum is going to move, but if we use a 3 minute, 5 minute, or 10 minute, or even like a random time frame, like six, seven, I don't know, whatever the time frame may be, um, those minute candles could possibly be the range that we were looking for. Yeah, Message said yes, already thought about that. It would add a bit to the price as it's not the original API cost, it'd be about 15% more. We probably don't need to do that now. I think what we need to do is because the thing is like we get more granular data through the 1 minute. So I think if we could get the data on the 1 minute, then we could start to, we can start to kind of just base our um our entries around those like times. I think we really just need to find a range of time, right? Like we just need to find a range, like for example, like 6:30 to whatever, 6:40, whatever it may be. If we could find that this is like a high quality or a high, probability of it winning around that time or pushing that direction, we can now jump down to like the 3 minute or the 5 minute or the 10 minute to kind of identify that. Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I think the 1 minute's fine. As long as we have a good area or idea of like where to look for, I think that could make, a world of a difference for us. Yeah, with the data there. All right, 632 or 732 right here, guys. There's going to be obviously an entry coming up. It's not a target entry, but it's the one that I mentioned that's close to it. It's close to it, but not exactly at the threshold. There's only one entry that I'm looking for. It's gonna be a little later, as you guys can see from the chart. Let's see. Nice. Let me put this over here. So nice setup right there, Masij. Yeah, so Masij said perfect market prediction from the algo right there between 8:30 and 9:30, basically 6:30 to 9:30. So basically the first hour of market movement, it identified exactly where price was going to turn from. Did you get this like did this populate before it happened, Masij, or did this populate like as it happened? Because if that's the case, I mean, we can probably look for price to flip. Like for example, here price kind of flipped at this point, and then we can start looking for the turnaround, around there. And then we could go with momentum down because it seems like it's pretty okay, cool. So you already had this before. Oh, okay, wow. That's pretty accurate then. So yeah, so Masij over here came up with this with another tool to identify the swings, basically, the swing to the upside, swing to the downside. Masij had already identified this last night that this type of pattern was going to play through. That's crazy, huh? And this is based off the algo data, right? You said. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, so basically Masij over here put the data into the he put the data into another tool basically, and it showed that price was going to push up and then turn around at some point, right? If we have an idea of like where that some point's going to be, we can look for the turnaround and write it back down to the other way. Or I mean, in a situation like this, you could probably look for an MPSV2 in a sense like this, right? Because we have a sell signal here. Probably wouldn't enter directly on the sell signal, but on the retracement, price retraced, and then an MPSV2 would come right back down, or we could just write this down for like 100 points or so. Yeah, Masij said it said it would reverse at 750 or 650, I guess, right? Time wise. I think 'cause you're an hour. Oh, price. Okay, 750 price. Oh yeah, no, so definitely. So we could have looked for the reversal to happen over here at 750, but if it started to reverse before then, we could have rode the momentum down even like from right here basically. Yeah, yeah, it was pretty close. Pretty spot on to identify this. Yeah, CJ said the algo tells you the reversals way before it happens. Yeah, no, I agree. It does. All right, so we have the entry right here at 632. If anybody caught that one, this wasn't a target entry, but it was the one that I was looking to get into if it was like it was only off by a few points and it actually just hit full TP right there. So if you guys caught the trade right there at 632, nice work. If you guys didn't, it wasn't a target entry, it was just an entry that was listed. So yeah, guys, I think moving forward, we're just gonna ignore the or not ignore, but we're gonna not document the against entries because they just don't work from the data, of course. I mean, they're good to identify the reversals, but not so much. So let's see, 704 is where the against started to come up. So like going back to what CJ mentioned. So the algo did predict the reversal to happen right here because the against trade started having it coming up at 704. Here, I'll just put the list on the chart. Or actually, let's wait until the last entry comes up. And then I'll put my algo entries on the list here so that you guys can see. But if you guys are looking at the algo list from earlier, you guys can see the against trade started happening at 7:04, right? Like right here. So you can see that once that was the case, there was against entries between 7:04 and 7:17. So basically between this period right here, it was identifying this is like reversal period. Actually, yeah, that's really smart. So I'm looking at this right here. Hmm. That is actually so like for example, if you're looking at the list right now, guys, of my algo entries, basically just ignore the direction. Ignore everything basically. Ignore everything except momentum. So like you can see from like 629 to 6 to 704, it was with momentum. So price went with the direction of momentum. And between 704 and 717 right here, it showed that price was going against, right? So if that was the case, you could identify this as dead period and reversal, the other way. That's crazy, right? It's super. It basically identified the reversal that happened around this period right here. I mean, the turnaround right here, volume would die out, and the reversal would start to happen right here. Confirmation would happen right after it. Because the same thing happened on the 26th. I'm kind of curious to go back and take a look at that too. We'll take a look at it after this, after we're done with our entries for the day. So, I mean, we have another dead period, and I'll show you guys when we get to that point. But yeah, there's another one setting up in a few. So we would need a sell momentum here to be valid for the next one to come up, guys. As you guys can see from the list, there's one coming up right here, but we need to have the sell momentum in place. Basically, if there's no buy signal that comes up here, which there wasn't, okay, the entry is going to come up in a bit. Yeah, CJ said that's exactly what he did. Wrote up momentum and wrote it back down. He said, but based on the percentages of the data shows that it would continue to the downside. That's why my chart said it would be going down. I take 2 weeks, 3 weeks as well to make that chart. Nice. Well, yeah, no, it's good. All right. So if you guys are looking to get into this here, all right, we'll see here. It's not a target entry. This one right here has a 60% weighted, 55% overall, 37% for buys, 66% for sells. It won 4 out of the 4 previous entries. So not in it, but well, not in it because it's not a target entry, but it's currently running. I don't know if this will play through, but we'll see. 738 for a sell. It looks like price here is starting to consolidate a bit. I don't really like the fact that it's consolidating because when it starts to consolidate like this, it's either going to go this way or it's going to go the other way, right? It's either going to reverse, flatten out, then reverse, or it's going to flatten out and continue down lower. What it looks like here is it's starting to create a new range in a sense. I wasn't in that one there. All right, so we have the entry coming up right here, which is gonna be the next one. Uh, let's see. There's just a lot of entries which came up today. So let's see, 4R. It's basically at 0R for the day. If we incorporated the against, but if we did it, then these here would have been avoided, obviously. So these here would have been not taken, of course, and it'd be at a 2R for the day overall. All right, so we have the other one coming up right here, guys, in a few. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Masish. The problem is I need it myself to do my own to even follow it. I know it's I mean the thing is like really just shutting down the stream in general. But I mean that's the only way we could really get around it, right? Or if anything, I mean because the replays are still gonna be useful if someone's looking to get into it. All right, guys, so looking at this right here, we have a pending buy signal. If this is the case, there's gonna be a no entry for the next one, if you guys are following with me. All right, so we got this right here, guys. There's no entry at 43. So the reason why there's no entry right here at 43 is because it was with momentum. Yeah, it was with momentum, but this here was a buy signal. So we're looking here. I'll put the list up now because obviously we're done for the day. Uh, okay, let me put the list back up real quick. Okay, so here are the entries for um, I mean, for the day for the most part. So yes, looking at this so far, right here, we didn't have an entry at 743. Reason for that is because this was with momentum. It had a weighted average of 65.84, overall of 65, buy for 63.64, sells for 66.67. It won three of the previous four entries for a sell direction. The reason why this here was not a trade, I mean, it looks like it would have played out pretty nicely. It's just the fact that we had a buy signal there that threw us, not really threw us off, but kind of screwed with our position there. See, this here would have played out pretty nice. Unfortunately, we did have a buy signal right here. Again, because this is with momentum, we needed this to be basically no buy signal. But you can see here that the algo, it pretty much identified it perfectly, right? It mentioned that the sells were going to play through. We had the sell direction, and the trade did play through right there for a sell. But it is what it is. The algo didn't provide the entry there, so there's no entry to take. Um, now, now looking at this here, I'll input the data here for the trade. So let's see. I have everything listed, right? Okay. So no entry for 629. Basically no entries for the first three. This was a win. 702, no entry. 704. All right, I'm just inputting the data over here on my other chart, guys. Um, so today, if you took every single trade that came up, it's a 0 R day for the most part. Actually, it might be a negative 1 R because of the yeah, because of the entry that was there at 7:38. I mean, I was hoping we get the 7:43 one, but obviously that one didn't come up. Let me see what the stats are looking like for target entries. No entry. I'm gonna go back to Wednesday's trading day. I'm gonna look to see if the reversal played out that we looked at because it was actually pretty good. See the 655 entry, this one over here was a really good entry, the one that we looked at. The problem is that I didn't get filled on that one. This one right here. Like I was really trying to get into this one with the limit order, but then it didn't fill. That one was pretty nice. That one played out perfect, no drawdown at all. Um, yeah, I mean it is what it is. But it would have been a good win if we could get in from that. But you know, like I said, you can't you can't have best of both worlds, right? Limit orders, there's gonna be some times where there's gonna be no fill, unfortunately. But yeah, sometimes you're gonna get filled, sometimes you're not. 716. I'm gonna do the stats on removing the against entries too. I'm just curious to see what it looks like with the month of November, of course. Uh, so it looks like overall it just would have been a negative 1 R day. Not a bad day, but if we were to avoid the against entries, it would be fine. So if you guys have access to the spreadsheet, I just updated the spreadsheet here. So yeah, it's a negative 1 R day. A lot of these were based off the against entries, of course, right? So like if we were to take off the against entries, probably would have been a lot better. Um, but yeah, I mean that's just how it is right now. So let's go back to the chart. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. What I'm curious to look at is going to be the Wednesday day. So like right here, I'm basically going to mark up 704 up until 717, just like today. And I want to see if that reversal happened around that time too, which I think it did. 704 to 717 on Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday's right here. So not exactly reversal, but so looking to see where price kind of broke out of that area. So I'm looking at this here, and I think that what I can identify from this is this could be kind of similar to like an opening range breakout type setup, right? So like right here is where the against started happening. So price went with momentum here. It started to turn a little earlier on 646, and then at yeah, 704, it was starting to go against momentum. So like that's where the reversal period started happening right here. And the thing with this is that this could be seen as a possible opening range type setup where you can kind of take it that way. Let me go back to our chart from today, and I'm just curious to see this as well. So kind of same thing here, same concept. Yeah, actually, this is actually pretty interesting. So you guys see this? This is kind of similar to what I just mentioned. So price broke below, and then it basically turned into an opening range breakout type setup to the downside. I'm like kind of curious now to see. So on Tuesday, it was at 7:15 to 7:17. Hmm. See, 715 to 717. I think that's a little too tight. It's like three candles. Yeah, it's a little too tight. Um, it would have to be like pretty, there'd have to be like at least 4 or 5 candles because you can't really create a range within like a few candles like that. I mean, you can, but it's not gonna it's not gonna be a good range setup. Anyways, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. I'm just curious to see like how those reversals there played out. I mean, the reversals there still played out pretty nice. I was just waiting for the confirmation to follow it. Um, yeah, so I just saw your messages right there, Message. I think if I was to do that, I would have to just stream this on a different laptop, basically, which could be done. It would have to be streamed on a different laptop because the thing is like we're doing like the direct stream from the Zoom. So like the problem with that is if I stream this to I mean it's a mirror screen. It's a mirror screen, but it's delayed on the YouTube by like a minute or two. Let's see. CJ said I knew Masij was going to try to recreate the indicator when he asked if it was similar to some other indicator and EMA. Glad you're using your talents for good, Masij. Yeah, no, I agree with you guys. Um, But yeah, guys, so I mean, those are the setups for the day. I think moving forward, we kind of just got to figure out ways to kind of mask our entries for the day. I mean, really, I just probably won't be able to post the list of entries here. We'll still follow them, but we're not going to post like the whole list of entries here. If you guys want access to this, and you guys can get it on the Discord, but I'm not going to post it on the YouTube stream where people can kind of see what we're or anticipate what we're getting into, right? Because I mean, it's always going to be a problem. But I'm really curious now, like now that CJ mentioned like he's been running the algo on different time frames. That's one thing that I haven't really looked at, right? Basically the 3 minute, the 5 minute, the 10. I think the 10 would be easy to follow because it's only like 10 candles, right? Per hour. Or not even 10 candles, 6 candles per hour. So I think I could probably run that and just have an idea of like what those are looking like. Because obviously that'd be a bigger range to be following. So all right, guys, I think that might be it for the day. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hop into the chat. I'm here to answer any questions you guys have. It's 7:54 right now. Well, we still have about 6 minutes till 8 o'clock. So if you guys want me to hang around, I can. Um, yeah, CJ said that's why I don't pay attention to the buy or sell direction and percentages. I use the algo in its purest form, and it tells me everything I need to know. You really got something, Sean, and the Wolves are definitely going to come for it. Yeah, so it looks like what you're doing, CJ, is you're mainly looking for the direction of momentum, right? Which is with momentum, of course, and at times. But yeah, like you said, you don't really use the percentages as much. I mean, the percentages do help, but like you said, if you have an idea of where price is going, you can kind of just keep riding it in that direction. Which, at some point in the future, maybe that's something that we can kind of implement as well. Because the thing is, we can probably go in with like a really, really, I mean, a 50-point stop loss is pretty wide enough. But like, yeah, like you said, if price continues to like move in this direction, that was one thing that I was looking at. So here's one thing that I was looking at, CJ, and you probably were looking at this as well. One thing that I was thinking about was when price is moving in a direction, right? So for example, 630 until 656 or whatever because these are, or say 702, these are all with momentum, right? So for example, we have a bullish momentum over here and we see price continuing to push up higher. If we have an idea that price is going to keep pushing in one direction for that time period, what we can do, and this is something that you might want to look at too, Masij, because this is more of a it's sort of discretionary in a sense, but like what we could do in a situation like that is we can just take the market flow pullbacks, right? Or market flows that you like to take, CJ, because that's something that we could take here as well. Price kind of pushes up. We have an idea of like price pushing up for like the next hour or 30 minutes we can just get in from the retest of the pivot, right? We don't have to write it up the full way, of course, but write it up to like maybe 100 points and then start to trail it and just kind of just write it in that direction. And then when price starts to turn the other way, right here, same thing at 732, 738. So like right here, for example, 732, 738. I mean, we would probably just take one wave. We probably this would be a little too late as we get closer to set, seven, whatever, 730. I think 730 was always our cutoff anyways for entries. Um, but yeah, like if we could find that, we can kind of ride in that direction. And usually the algo entries, like you can see when they're going to be moving for a while, right? Like Wednesday over here, obviously it wasn't moving for a while, maybe until like 7 o'clock. And I was like the cutoff time. But I mean, the main gist of it is just really having an idea of like where price is going, right? So again, same thing right here. So basically between like 6:32 to 7 o'clock, like this would be the time to like, all right, we got to get out of this, at some point. So like price kind of pushed up right here. The entry would have been filled at the pivot retest, 100 points out right there. I mean, there's going to be different ways to work this. I mean, as long as we have the data, we can kind of see where we want to play with the numbers. Um, but I was just showing you guys just like, quick kind of how to play with the market here. So like right here, I just want to see how this played out on the 24th. Monday 24th from market open until 7 o'clock. It was on Monday. So same thing with this right here. I mean, it's the same exact thing that we just talked about, right? Price right here at 630 came down with momentum, retested. This is actually something that looks really good that we can work with, guys, because we can just trail the limit order to fill out the pivot. This is actually really good. So if I see a big block of like with momentum, we can kind of ride that. Like basically like 4 trades again right here on Friday. This is with momentum, basically the first 30 minutes. Huh. This kind of has me thinking now. I'm like, this seems a little too good to be true. So basically price pushes with momentum and or see this is where it would be a little tricky. Let's see what it looked like on that Friday. So actually no, so it starts at 6:32. Hmm, no, because the momentum already pushes up from there. So we wouldn't be riding this. We'd have to have the momentum before it. So right here on 6:39 actually is where the setup would happen. Because at first, and I have to like kind of factor this into my criteria. Like basically right here, this is where the first momentum set up, right? So like what you want to do is you want to already have the momentum. You don't want the momentum to come up after. So 6:32 right here, that's where the first like you should already know where the momentum is going at that point. Um, and then the shift happens right here at 6:39. That's the next. No, see, it's a little tricky. It's a little tricky when you're trying to figure out the direction. But again, that's just another concept I could possibly look at in the future. But all right, so guys, if there's any questions that you guys have, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, I think we're gonna wrap this up pretty soon. Yeah, it's 8 o'clock. Yeah, CJ said, yeah, I do that already. I also use it with the levels, sometimes using the 10-minute and 5 minute to pinpoint reversals and entries. The algo works really well with the other K2 strats. It's all integrated, but they all came from me, so it all makes sense. Yeah, 100% CJ. I mean, they're all based off momentum, right? So like realistically, um, it's based all off momentum. And so the thing that we were talking about earlier, guys, so the thing is like you guys could have these tools, but if you don't know how to use them properly or if you don't know how to implement them, it just wouldn't work out for anybody, right? So like yeah, I appreciate that all you guys here are looking out for the indicators and the tools and stuff. But the thing is, like, you can give these tools to someone, and if they don't know how to use them properly or how to even use them at all, they'll still be in the dark, right? So that's like the good thing about having this or having me in general, having me being able to explain how stuff here works. Obviously, I created these so like they work with my trading style and my trading patterns or the way I see the market. Um, but yeah, no, I agree with you, Siege, 100%. I agree with Brock. I agree with CJ. I agree with all of you guys with regard to protecting, our edge. I think that's really what it is, right? It's protecting our edge in general. It's not just my edge, it's your guys' edge because we're all taking these same trades. So obviously, we want to protect our edge as much as possible. So yeah, we'll try to figure out ways around. I think the first step is going to be or not taking down, but not really showing our times for the day because I think that's kind of what throws it kind of gives away what we're looking for. And then from there, we'll figure out how to kind of filter out the stream as well. But all right, guys, I think that's it for the day. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hop into the chat. Unfortunately, these were the setups for the day. Fortunately, but unfortunately, these are what we had for the day. Today's a -1 R day, but again, here I can do this right now actually because I don't have any rush right now. I think what I'll do is let's just make a duplicate of this. I'll put it over here. And I'm just so let's see what the statistics would have been if we pretty much remove the against trades, right? So basically there's like a big chunk of the against trades right here. So we'd still be at 2R, which is not a huge difference, but I mean obviously it does help being positive. Same with the target entries over here. If we were to take out the yeah, we'd be at a 1R for the day. Not a great R, but I mean still a 1R or for the most part overall. So I think what I might do is I might kind of play around with this and take off the against trades. If you guys want to play around with the stats yourself, you guys can always just click make a copy and then you can edit it yourself. Like if you want to take off the against trades, if you want to take off certain trades that happen too early or happen too late, you can do that. There's a ton of different ways to kind of play around with the data. Um, and yeah, I mean you could find your own edge, right? Playing around with the data like that. So, all right, guys, I think that's it for the day. If you guys have any questions, feel free. Let's see. CJ said showing your times is probably what converted 702 to sadism. Last time I took 702, my computer shut down. It took me 3 times to get back into Zoom. Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy, but I believe you. I don't even think we've had a seven. Oh, actually, we did for today. 702. See, the crazy thing with the 702 is that it was such a high probability type entry for like the longest time, and then all of a sudden it just, not all of a sudden, over a month's period, it kind of died out. But all right, guys, that's Monday for us. So there's the start of our trading week. A lot of entries for the day, a lot of wins, a lot of losses, not really a lot of losses, a lot of like no entries for the most part. Um, but yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So hopefully tomorrow's gonna be a lot better. Like I said, this is NFP week, guys. So expect a lot of volatility. Tomorrow we don't really have much news. We have the Fed speaking at 7 o'clock. We have some crude oil stock change. Wednesday we have ADP employment change. And then we have the bigger news events happening halfway throughout the week. So like on Wednesday, again, we have ISM services PMI at 7 o'clock. The big news events typically happen at 5:30, 7 o'clock, sometimes 6:45. And then the bigger stuff happens over here at Thursday. So Thursday, wait, hmm, I'm kind of thrown off now. Now that I'm looking at the list over here, guys, it's actually not NFP week, which I think is very unusual. Wait, did they just not have NFP this week? That's weird. So it's not listed for Friday. This is supposed to be NFP week. It's the first week of December. Hmm. Okay, so maybe it is an NFP week, guys. I think this is really weird that they don't have it. Yeah, huh. It looks like they're not having NFP at all this month. It's really weird. Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks, Surin. So Surin said there is no data, they said, but it is NFP week. Okay, no, it's good to know. Okay, thanks for the heads up, Surin. I was thrown off. I was like, man, it's like 3, 4 months with no NFP data. Last Friday they released like 2 months of data, but this month they're not having any NFP. It's odd. This is a weird year with regard to like economic news because we had a lot of like news events that didn't come out this year because of the government shutdown and then the tariffs and all that stuff. But yeah, it's weird. I don't think we've ever experienced a time where there's no NFP. NFP is like the most important data set that comes out. It's more important than inflation. It's more important than the Fed data. It's crazy that they haven't been releasing the NFP data. Okay, well, I mean, that's good to know. Thanks, CERN, for letting us know. But yeah, there is no NFP data this week. It is NFP week, but there is no NFP data on Friday. There's still some high impact news events. There's Michigan consumer sentiment on Friday. Thursday, we have jobless claims, basically some jobs data, but not NFP. Wednesday, we have ISM services PMI. And then tomorrow it's pretty flat. So, all right, guys, I think that's it for the day. Again, if you guys have any questions or you want to discuss anything with me, feel free to hit me up on Discord. You guys can also hop into the chat as well and discuss with everyone else. But all right, guys, I think that's it for the day. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up. Otherwise, I think we're good. Yeah, CJ said I think we did pretty good today for it to be a Monday after a holiday and also Cyber Monday. Yeah, maybe that's why the market volatility is so low, right? 20 ATR for majority of the day today, which is great. So, all right, guys, have a great rest of your day. If you guys have any questions, hit me up. Otherwise, I will see you guys here, same place, same time tomorrow as we can.